Woke, it means liberal. It means being a liberal. It means having liberal politics, particularly about race and gay people. The reason why I know this is because the word woke is not merely applied to identity politics situations. The simple belief, for example, that trans women are women is constantly being called woke. So wokeness cannot describe exclusively some belief about oppression relationships.
Wait, hang on a minute. But that links back to the definition, because to say trans women are women, you are addressing the inconsistent, the oppression that they're experiencing by not being seen as women.
You think, Chud? Oh my God, you're saying the exact same thing we said.
Chud, you're going to be in a Little Joel response video tomorrow. You know
Wait,
that.
no.
Well,
wait,
no, but
he's
the thing is... So, progressives do this weird gaslighting where they act like you're a card because you can't define woke, when everyone knows what we're talking about, okay? If I say something is woke, yes, you know what I mean, they know what they've got an idea of what is woke and what's too much. Maybe we differ on the line, but we're going to all broadly agree on what it is. And then they're like, whoa, can you define it? I think I saw your definition. It was pretty good, but people even complain about that because it's too lengthy. So it's like, what do you want? You want an intricate definition that's long? That's not good enough. Me just broadly gesturing at what woke is and you kind of broadly understanding it, that's not enough. It's almost like they don't want to have a conversation about the negative aspects of this kind of progressive extremism, and they just want to browbeat you over not being able to specifically define a term in like 2 seconds, right? That's my basic take on it.
Well, I think there's a lot of performative stupidity going on. I agree with very much everything that you said. And you're going to love this video because this video is like the king of performative stupidity here. He's going to the clip of this woman who basically stumbled over the definition of woke. I'm sure maybe you covered it, Chud. It went viral. Everyone was talking about it. Yeah, the conservative woman. So she basically did a follow-up where she lays out the definition similar to the definition you saw me post online. Ben Shapiro posted a definition that was very similar to that definition. And Big Joel here, he says, look, these definitions that she's using and that Ben Shapiro are using, those definitions aren't the definition that the conservatives are using. The conservatives, when they say woke, they just mean anything that they don't like. And I'm like, well, that's fine. You can say that, but that doesn't magically make the definition of woke disappear. It doesn't, just because they're using this loosey-goosey definition doesn't mean that the technical definition that we're all talking about and having in-depth conversations about ceases to exist. And I use the example of like milk. I don't like milk. If I say milk is gay, it doesn't make the definition of gay go away. Gay has a definition, like a technical definition, a substantive definition. Just because I've changed the definition for, something I'm saying, it doesn't make that definition disappear.
So what you're saying is like, so when people would use gay as like to mean something bad or stupid,
a slur, yes,
right,
exactly.
It doesn't erase the fact that gay means homosexual.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
And same thing with woke. He's basically making the argument conservatives are using woke for the new slur against anything progressive that they don't like. And I'm like,
he doesn't say progressive.
Oh, he says liberals, which is what makes it even worse. Yeah.
If wokeness is anything, it is fundamentally anti-liberal.
It's because he pulls out two definitions that are accurate, and he says, no, those definitions are wrong. As if so. Look, imagine I do a definition of what homosexuality is, right? It's like same-sex attraction, right? We shouldn't denigrate homosexual people. They're born this way. It's not a problem. Like, here's the definition of gay, right? And and Big Joel pulls that up and says, no, this definition of gay is incorrect. Adam's definition is completely farcical because every time I hear somebody use the word gay, they're using it as a slur for something they don't like. It's like, you're an idiot.
I just want to clarify, you're okay with using gay as an insult, though? My chat's a bit perturbed.
Oh, are they?
Know that they can...
I'm not okay with using gay as an insult. I'm just using it as an example.
Interview with Brianna Joy Gray, where this woman, Bethany S. Mandel, had trouble giving a definition of the word woke.
Woke is something that's very hard to define, and we've spent an entire chapter defining it. It is sort of the understanding that we need to totally reimagine and redo society in order to create hierarchies of oppression. Sorry, it's hard to explain in a 15-second soundbite.
It's become kind of a fad among conservatives to try to define the word woke, and they keep doing a really poor job of it. Like they're doing a
So he says they're doing a poor job. They're doing a very bad job of it.
weirdly bad job defining this very simple word. Like the way they use this word is not complicated. Bethany S. Mandel had time to think about it, I guess, and she wrote, wokeness is a radical belief system suggesting that our institutions are built around discrimination and claiming that all disparity is a result of that discrimination. It seeks a radical redefinition of society in which equality of group is presented as the endpoint enforced by an angry mob. I like this definition because
Now, he says he likes this definition. I think his stands, who have an IQ of about 80, think that he agrees with the definition because he says he likes it. But he's saying, no, I like it because it's so insane, so batshit crazy, and he disagrees with it.
enforced by an angry mob aspect of it is like codified as part of the belief system. Like being woke actually entails getting involved in some kind of a mob. I like that definition. Ben Shapiro largely...
See, he's saying, ha ha, sarcastic, we're not a mob.
But they say that it's not good to not be racist. You need to be actively anti-racist.
I know,
like,
I know.
Look, that's
yeah.
an admission of the mob mentality. Obviously not explicitly, but like, yeah, you need to organize and engage against the bad thing.
Look, it's complete self-denial,
Your
Chud.
bad faith, Chud.
It's complete
But, okay.
self-denial.
agreed with Bethany, writing, wokeness claims, 1, Western civilization and its institutions were and are discriminatory and serve the purposes of those in power, typically straight white men, and 2, that discrimination is both historic and ongoing, and all group disparities are explained by it. Discuss.
Okay, now that's a pretty solid definition, Chud. This definition look okay to you?
Yeah, definitely. Because the thing is, as well, is you can look at offshoots of this, and even if people maybe misuse it a bit, like when someone says a black person in a movie is woke, like you can kind of understand what they're trying to say, which is that, you know, there's a disparity that's considered that's trying to be fixed by some producer somewhere that wants, right? Like the offshoots of the conversation, if you are willing to engage on this definition, if you engage in good faith, you can understand where someone's coming from.
Imagine this, Joel Stans. We're having a substantive conversation about the definition. Isn't that amazing?
I get very annoyed by semantic conversations when, like, it's kind of similar to what Chud was saying. It's like, I don't think there's actually that much disagreement or misunderstanding. I think we all have a pretty good understanding of what it is that we're talking about. And like, having an annoying ass fucking conversation about the edge, like 10% of cases, as though that means the whole thing just falls apart. I just have no tolerance for those conversations anymore, because you can do that with anything. There's like these semantic terrorists that they're just like, well, you can't use the word because it's not super precisely defined, and I'm just gonna infinitely narrow in on more and more fucking shit to try and stop us from even being able to communicate with each other. I just find it annoying. So
We gotta steal that term, Adam. When we have a next conversation.
Semantic
like
terrorist?
We gotta call him a semantic terrorist.
I was going to say, now, so Doomer, you believe Joel is a terrorist, it sounds like.
He's a semantic terrorist.
in Minecraft, allegedly.
Okay.
Agree on the major point, which is that they think that wokeness is just a replacement word for like identity politics, for discussions of oppression, and they're wrong. They're wrong about this. I'm going to tell you the definition of woke right now.
I think
the way that
Did he not just clearly say that they're wrong about the definition? Like, there's
he did.
no
He did.
question here, right?
Yeah. He said they're wrong. He said they think wokeness is identity politics. So
Right.
he's defining what Ben Shapiro defined and what the Lee defined as identity politics, not wokeness.
Right. And in our original video, we said,
Right.
well, yeah, it is identity politics. That's a
Right.
fine definition.
woke, it means liberal. It means being a liberal. It means having liberal politics, particularly about race and gay people.
Is this just like a performance? Or does he honestly not understand that leftism, which I thought he was a leftist,
He doesn't know what
is
liberal
anti-liberal?
means. Yeah, he doesn't know what liberal means. That's pretty
He's
obvious.
using liberal as in the conservative, or the libs are gay or some shit. Like that's what it feels like.
Yes,
but-
yeah.
So he's
Because
just an
liberalism is about individual sovereignty.
Yes.
You know, sovereign is reign supreme. Identity doesn't matter,
Yes.
et cetera, right?
How
Individual
dare
rights,
you have a
colorblindness,
substantive
yeah.
argument, Chud? How dare you? How dare
Well,
you
I mean,
understand
that's-
what liberalism is?
That's my understanding of liberalism, and people get it
Yes.
wrong.
Well, he's a Brit,
Because-
so he understands.
It's
Yeah.
true. Yes, exactly. Individual rights, you know, freedom of association, like all that stuff.
Free speech and all that
Free
jazz.
speech,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Natural rights.
You're basically trying to maximize individual freedom. We can get into the positive
Well, and
rights, negative rights.
right.
We don't have to do
Well,
that.
and it's not
but-
just maximizing individual freedom. It's looking at the world through the lens of the individual.
Of course.
Where
Yeah.
wokeness and leftism is looking at the world through the lens of a collective identity group.
Let's get back to Duncan on BreadTube, okay? Let's go.
Yes.
merely applied to identity politics situations. The simple belief, for example, that trans women are women is constantly being called woke. So wokeness cannot describe exclusively some belief about oppression relationships.
Wait, hang on a
It's-
minute. But that links back to the definition, because to say trans women are women, you are addressing the inconsistent the oppression that they've been experiencing by not being seen as women.
You think, Chud? Oh my God, you're saying the exact same thing we said.
Chud, you're going to be in a little drill response video tomorrow. Hope you know
Wait,
that.
no.
Well,
wait,
no, but the
he's
thing
gonna,
is-
you're going to be in a response video in 5 minutes because that's exactly the response he makes in the next video we're going to watch. Go ahead, Chud.
But I don't feel like I'm disagreeing with like, to me, that statement is just true. And I'm not saying it as a value judgment, right? Listen, I love trans women, okay? Trans women are great, right?
Yes.
But anyway, the point I'm making is by saying trans women are women, the point of that sentiment is to say you're accepted. You are oppressed by
Yes.
society, but we're going to accept you to rebalance the
Yes.
equation.
Preach,
So how is that?
Chud. Preach. It's exactly
Okay,
right.
Well,
yeah.
it's worse than that, Chet. He says wokeness is not identity politics because, and then he gives the example, trans women isn't women. Isn't that literally identity politics?
Yeah.
Of
I'd
course
say
it
so,
is.
sure.
Yes.
When he said this, my mind fell out of my skull. I didn't understand. Like, it was so weird.
Every time you say that, Sitch, they read that as you being confused. I don't.
I
think you
am
should...
confused. I'm confused as to how Joel
And now
could
he
say
just comes
something.
out and say it. Okay.
I don't understand how Joel could say something that, like, he immediately contradicts himself and doesn't realize it.
Well,
and his fans don't realize
Let's
it.
postulate.
And when we watched it, Chud, who's never seen this video before, immediately was like, "Wait a minute, what is he talking about?"
I know.
I'm familiar
yes.
with the progressive ideology. Like, you know, I've lived in it. I've seen people talk about this stuff, and to me, it just seems crazy that you would deny what to me is just obvious truth about what this is. It's almost like, oh, conservatives are saying something, we've got to disagree. You know,
Oh,
it's like
totally.
Yes.
if conservatives said you shouldn't eat your own shit, it feels sometimes like progressives would just scoop it out of the asshole and eat it and be like, no, shit's delicious actually. And it's like,
Yes.
sometimes conservatives can be right about things, and that's okay. You know.
It's peak debate brain. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The reason why I know this is because the word woke is not merely applied to identity politics situations. The simple belief, for example, that trans women are women is constantly being called woke. So wokeness cannot describe exclusively some belief about oppression relationships. It literally just describes having the liberal beliefs that liberals have about gay people and black people. That's all it means. It's not.
Wait, his example was trans women, and then he said it's the liberal belief about gay people and black people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know, what does that even mean? What is the liberal belief about gay people and black people?
Liberals
feels
don't
like-
believe in overthrowing society to try and undo oppression, which is
What
that's
is
woke
the liberal belief about the blacks? Okay, I want to know.
Well, that you should judge them individually.
They should pull themselves up by their
Yes.
bootstraps. That's the liberal belief.
The whole point of liberalism is to move away from these identity games
Totally,
and look at
yes.
individual action beyond identity.
Totally.
Yeah, but obviously Joel doesn't mean that when he says liberal.
No, that's why
Well,
I
where's he
want to know
getting
what he
liberal
means.
from?
I don't know.
That's not what any. That doesn't make any.
It
That's
doesn't
like
make
the
any
right
sense.
conception
But he
of
keeps
liberals are gay
he's
and
tripled
black.
down.
No one knows. Oh
Doesn't
my God.
require like 5 sentences of explanation. It's not complicated. It's not deep. They mean liberal. They're figuring out a mean word for liberal.
Like the kind of meme definition of liberal that is often used by like conservatives rather than actually what a liberal is,
Totally,
which you need
yeah.
to understand, because liberal ideology stands in opposition to wokeness and these ideas of focusing on identity and so on and so forth.
Look,
There's benefits to liberalism. I'm going to get called a centrist liberal or whatever again, but there are absolutely benefits to liberalism and some of the things it espouses, and it's brought about some fantastic like dynamics in our society.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about the solar. The legal system is a fantastic invention of liberal thought, and you know, I just think that that's kind of stuff you need to try and hold on to as we go to fully automated gay space communism that I advocate
No,
for.
listen.
I
all
like-
of our past traditions are rooted in white supremacy, Chud.
Oh,
Okay, we need to dismantle everything and start fresh.
I kind of like
But,
innocent
okay.
until proven guilty. I mean, that's an individual
Yeah.
right that people have, right?
No.
Not on Twitter.
Yeah.
Hey
I think just
everybody, so fairly recently I made a video about how conservatives don't seem to have a good grasp on the word woke. In the video I addressed Ben Shapiro's definition of wokeness, that power imbalance and discrimination are everywhere in society and need to be undone, and say that it's not really accurate. The reason I give is that wokeness just broadly refers to any liberal belief. And as one example, I give the claim that trans women are women. This claim doesn't refer back to discrimination or power imbalances or whatever. It's just a thing that liberals say. It's
Chud?
It
Chud,
does.
you want-
It absolutely 100% does. How are you denying this? What is the point of saying trans women are women if not to kind of put our collective arm around them and say, yeah, people
Yeah,
don't see you as a
good
woman, but
job.
don't worry, we do. Like, it's just so, why deny this? I'm saying it, not because I'm necessarily criticizing it. This is just how it is to me in my head. And it seems really weird that a progressive or a lefty would deny that this is the case. Because
Yeah.
otherwise, just say trans woman to trans woman. What does it matter?
We're
What does
doing
matter
it
what
to
we say about
eliminate
them?
power imbalances. That's the whole reason to do it,
Right.
right? Otherwise,
Well,
we
yeah,
would just say
that's-
trans women are trans women and we'd be done with it.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the question you'd
Yeah.
ask. Yeah. if
It's an
not about
acceptance
this,
that they're
then-
not viewed in society the way they want to be, and we're going to view them that way as a radical acceptance of them to combat the bigotry they face. That seems
Yes.
so obvious to me.
Yeah.
that liberals have, and that's really what wokeness is. It's the liberal perspective. The reason why I'm recapping this video right now is because I just saw a response video to it by the fairly small channel Sitch and Adam.
Oh, it hits me in the heart.
You're getting
Joel.
humegaloed. Oh boy.
Joel, how are you punching down? We're so
I know.
tiny.
I know. What a jerk.
All
punching
your
down.
stands are rating our channel.
So in this video, Sitch and Adam spend like 20 minutes on this claim that I just made. Like 20 minutes just sitting there in utter confusion, not understanding what I mean.
He's doing the performance stupidity thing because, like, we're just baffled by how he's contradicting himself. And then he's playing it up like,
Oh,
oh, that
you're right.
means we're confused and stupid.
By what he's saying, yeah.
Right.
We're baffled at your
Well, he's half right.
idiocy, Joel.
Yes.
I'm gonna play a few moments of this, maybe like 2, but keep in mind, it's like 15 minutes out of the 20-minute video. Like, they do not stop sitting around saying, I don't get it,
I've never seen this before because I want to have like a fresh reaction in stream.
Mhm.
He's really triggered by this. Listen to his tone of voice from this video, from the previous one.
Yeah, because he fancies himself a big brain intellectual and he doesn't even know what liberal means.
Well,
And it's so weird because it's really not that hard to get, right? The claim trans women are women isn't like the claim systemic racism exists. In a perfect world, systemic racism would not exist, but trans women would still be women. The simple
This is what's so bizarre
Wait.
because literally systemic racism does exist. Well, their argument is systemic racism exists against trans people. And the saying trans women are women is an attempt to change the system.
Let me try to go into the big Joel argument here so far. Okay. So yeah, in a perfect world, you know, there wouldn't be systemic racism. I would agree. But would trans women be women? Well, that depends on how we're defining these terms and what we mean by them. That has nothing to do with, like, you're not in a perfect world, finger quote perfect world, you're not going to define out of existence systemic racism. You're just saying it wouldn't exist. But saying trans women are women depends on how we're defining these terms. And as we've all said, the point I thought from the left defining trans women as women was all about, 1, identity politics, and 2, in order to alleviate systemic oppression against trans people. But I don't know, maybe he has just some completely weird
No, it's
definition
just-
for this
it's
that he's
just-
never talked about, that he's completely different from everyone on the left.
It's just
Okay.
fact, Sitch.
Yeah.
There's no political context here whatsoever. Look, if you live in that kind of dream world where just things are factual and there's no political connotation to the things that you're saying, you're delusional.
I just think that the way to look at this is that it is a truth that is just accepted on the progressive left now, and to have any other opinion on trans people is to be transphobic. Obviously, I don't agree with that. I think that's wrong. I've got, you know, I'm very transphobic these days, so, you know, I'll happily state my opinions on that. But I'm just saying that, like, that is the view, and you have to accept that, and you have to accept that for the comfort of trans people, which again is funny because when you think about it for more than 5 seconds, it comes back round to that argument anyway.
Yes.
Right. So even
What
if
is the
you want to
comfort
say
of
it's
trans
true,
people?
we say it because it's true. You know, that still flips around to the same argument.
Is it?
But I feel like anyway.
Let me ask it
I don't
this
want to loop
way.
on this, but
let me ask
yeah,
it this
sure.
way: is it a comfortable truth or an uncomfortable truth?
Well, it's obviously a comfortable.
It's
truth
a
in my mind.
comfortable truth. Oh my goodness! Imagine that we came up with a comfortable truth.
That trans women exist and are valid doesn't come with the idea that there's discrimination affecting trans women. There is discrimination that affects trans women. There's no doubt about that. But the fact that they exist and are valid doesn't refer to that discrimination. This is an important distinction that Sitch and Adam seem genuinely incapable of understanding. Conservatives want to convey the idea that wokeness refers back to some big intellectual thing, but it's not. They're just mad about liberals.
Look, he completely denies. He's like, all of these big brain definitions that you're trotting out from, you know, original sources of critical theory and stuff like that, none of those mean anything. They're completely meaningless.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if Joel's literally never read any academic papers.
No, he's a
any
moron.
Books, any works on any of these philosophies. That he's
None of that is legitimate, okay? The only meaningful theory is on ContraPoints or Philosophy Tube or Vosh's YouTube channel. That's the primary source for theory.
ContraPoints.
Don't talk to me
knows,
about Anthony
so much
Gramsci.
more about this stuff, and has talked about so much. For all that disagree with ContraPoints, ContraPoints is on a whole nother level of like. I could have a conversation with ContraPoints about these topics. And I feel like she would actually understand what I'm talking about. I'm not sure Joel does.
They just don't like the things that liberals say. And the reason why conservatives call the claim that trans women are women woke is not that it refers back to discrimination or identity politics. It's because they don't think trans women are women. It's a belief they disagree with. And that's what the word woke refers to. Liberal beliefs that conservatives disagree with. Oh, before I go, I just wanted to give one more example of this that might actually help Sitch and Adam out here.
Thank you.
Climate change. I very frequently see the claim from conservatives that the concept of climate change is woke ideology, but that completely controverts Ben Shapiro's definition of wokeness, which is about systemic and historical injustice and discrimination. Climate change, the fact that carbon is causing the world to heat up, is not about systemic discrimination. It's a whole other problem. What's the common thread between all of the things that conservatives call woke, though? It's that liberals believe it.
Wait a second, hang on. The climate change thing, I think, again, you can have an argument of that does come down to oppression, because who is it that's perpetuating climate change? It's like big oil companies and shit. Right? Like, I think there's probably an angle you can take from it there.
Right.
And the other thing as well is I see loads of posts about how climate change, I mean, maybe it's a bit inaccurate to say it in that way. Maybe there's a more nuanced way to state it. Maybe people have missed the mark a bit, but I see loads of posts about how it's the brown people that are going to be affected and flooded.
Totally.
And flood our borders.
Well, see,
and that's the racist part, but
it's funny because it's, you know, it is true, obviously, and we've never denied this, that people on the right will overuse the term woke for everything. No one would ever deny that unless they're, you know, out to lunch, right? And yeah, the concept of climate change itself, obviously, that's not a woke concept. Climate change has been around, you know, before woke became a thing anyone really talked about, at least in modern times. But you just brought up a fantastic example, Chud, because that shows how they use wokeness to try to push climate change.
Yep.
Which is that, oh, climate change is going to disproportionately affect Black and brown people in, you know, lower income countries.
Brought up a headline, how marginalized groups are disproportionately affected by climate change. Now that's obviously a woke article about climate change, right? So if conservatives come out and say, oh, look at this woke article about climate change, Big Joel is going to say, oh, look, climate change is not woke, because he doesn't understand the distinction that we're making.
He's been on before though, right?
Yeah, he was on once before.
A while ago.
Yeah. I mean, I just think at some point when we response video, just come on and talk about it. Like, that's the easy way to hash this out, right?
Yes. Though
Why
I do
hasn't
think
he
it's
come on
funny
yet?
he's made a second response video today before we even responded to this.
Yeah, this is the second response. We're in a total cope spiral here.
Hey everybody, so just yesterday I made a video about the YouTubers Sitch and Adam and their response to one of my videos where I defined the word wokeness. I'm not going to get into it too deeply, but the basic idea of the video was that whereas people like Ben Shapiro and whoever else try to define the word wokeness as like discussions about discrimination, this isn't true. The word wokeness roughly just refers to the things that liberals believe in, and as one example in that video, I give climate change. Climate change is an issue that conservatives call woke, and it has nothing to do with systemic discrimination. It's a completely other problem. So somebody fairly recently left a comment on the Sitch and Adam video asking about my climate change example, saying essentially, how can you define wokeness as about discrimination when climate change is right there? And this is how Sitch and Adam replied. The people who are using woke around climate change are either using it incorrectly or citing examples where climate change is being used in a context where marginalized people are most affected by the changing climate and therefore oppressed by our lack of climate action.
Is that
defining it?
Hold on, Sitch. Do you not endorse that comment?
First of all, thank you, Adam. I do endorse that comment, so
Yeah, no
I don't feel
shit.
bad that you used my name for it.
I was having some fun in that comment section. And for all the comments for him to pick, I'm like, oh my
Pick the
God,
best
you
one.
picked the
Yeah.
best one. This guy is so brain dead.
I just think this is the thing that really pissed me off and why I left the left. Okay, it's because progressives would just deny reality, act dumb. When I
Totally.
just think you must have seen this. You have moved in the spaces that I moved in, and I somewhat continue to move in. You must see this. You must see this happen, surely. Unless you're Mr. Magoo blindly wandering about the progressive fucking internet, never seeing any of these takes.
Defining it incorrectly? They're the conservatives that are using the word woke to describe climate change are using it incorrectly. According to who? Sitch and Adam? According to who are
According to Ben Shapiro and the girl that you quoted in your goddamn video, you're a moron.
And
you're a
us, yeah.
fucking moron.
His argument is according to who? Well, when he gave his definition, should we have just shouted to scream, according to who? According to who? According to who? Trans women are women, according to who, Joel? According to who?
Yeah. According to science, Sitch.
I
Follow
don't
the
know.
science. Oh, Doomer.
Okay.
What are you doing to us, Doomer?
Listen, he knows the chat's against
I
him.
know
so
Doomer's he's trying to humanize himself. Good job,
Yes.
Doomer. We
This is like when
we
Hitler
endorse
gets
it.
photos taken with dogs and shit. That's
they using it incorrectly? A reminder here, this entire conversation was about the proper definition of the word woke. Like, we were actively in the process of defining this word, and Sitch and Adam are like, well, you can't use it that way. It's actually against the rules to use it that way.
That's
that.
literally Joel's argument in his first video.
Yes, yeah.
His entire first video was criticizing that lady whose name I always forget, and Ben Shapiro's definition of woke,
Right.
saying your definition is wrong.
They think that wokeness is just a replacement word for like identity politics, for discussions of oppression, and they're wrong. They're wrong about this. I'm going to tell you the definition of woke right now.
Did he not just clearly say that they're wrong about the definition? Like
Yeah,
there's
he did.
no
He did.
question here, right?
Yeah.
Totally.
And now he's criticizing us because we said someone else's definition is wrong.
Oh, I guess you're right. Yeah, we're
Yes. What?
but this is the thing.
This is
Look,
insane.
Using it incorrectly. According to who? Sitch and Adam? According to who are they using it incorrectly? A reminder here, this entire conversation was about the proper definition of the word woke. Like, we were actively in the process of defining this word, and Sitch and Adam are like, well, you can't use it that way. It's actually against
Never
the
said
rules
that.
to use it that way.
Never
Based
said
on
that.
what? The definition that Ben Shapiro gives, I'm saying that it's an incorrect definition, Sitch and Adam, because people use it in other way. This is the way the word woke is used, guys. It's used to refer to things.
So under his label, under his theory of rules here, okay, he's saying just because people use the word woke in this other way that doesn't conform with maybe our definition or Ben Shapiro's definition of wokeness, that means that those definitions are wrong and the other definition is right.
which
So
is
does that
a
mean that-
stupid argument.
Wait, so yeah, exactly. So does that mean that Big Joel accepts that everyone on the left is a groomer?
Ooh.
Because that's the label that everyone on the right use. They talk about everyone on the left being a groomer.
Oh, I
That's
guess
how
you're
they
right.
define the left.
I guess you're right. They're all groomers now.
Is Big Joel
Wait, well, hang on.
a groomer?
Wait, what?
Look, I'm kind of against the groomer discourse because of that. Like, I'm pro
Right.
LGBT, and I don't like. They've battled that stereotype for fucking decades.
Right.
Like,
True,
yeah,
true.
we don't want that stereotype coming back. So
So if he has a conversation where
About the
someone says, "Well, I'm defining women to not include trans women," and everyone on the right agrees, does he just throw up his hands and say, "Well, I guess trans women are not women now"?
he's like, "Oh, trans women are adult human females now. I heard
Right.
I heard it on a conservative channel."
Yeah. If all the conservatives are saying women is adult human female, and
Right.
that doesn't include trans women, does he just accept that?
I just don't see why, as a lefty, saying that what wokeness is what it is like a bad thing, because that's the whole point, is dismantling oppressive power structures.
I can tell you why. I can tell you exactly.
Yes.
Why.
Tell him.
The reason is because the only reason that wokeness, which I'm defining as anti-liberal specifically, and this kind of like leftist, this new like leftist anti-liberal doctrine is kind of like sliming and worming its way into the American discourse, is because all of the boomer adults who are Democrats and the majority of people that vote and actually change things in this country have no clue whatsoever that wokeness is
He's
anti-liberal.
anti-liberal. Yeah.
They have no clue that this is all based in like some kind of weird cultural version of Marxism. And if they did know that, they would all immediately stop supporting it.
It's a Trojan horse.
Yeah, well, stuff like, Black Lives Matter. The people that ran it apparently were all Marxists until they bought these massive
Until
houses.
they bought
or whatever.
mansions. Yeah. They pulled Hassan's.
But the leaders of these movements often do have a better understanding, I imagine, of the theory, and do understand it's a subversion of liberal values meant to undermine liberal institutions,
Right.
to bring about, some sort of socialist takeover or whatever, So they must know. But then the people that talk about it, like you say, they say Black Lives Matter. They don't understand the political roots and ideology behind it. They just think, yeah, Black Lives Matter. We don't want black people to die. Sure.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many I hear so many boomer liberals who are Democrats who say things like they think wokeness is just like this, they think it's this generation's version of the civil rights movement, not understanding that, well, like this is like the antithesis of the civil rights movement. CRT, I mean, it's rooted in CRT, which was anti the civil rights movement because they don't like the concept of liberal rights. That's why you don't hear anyone talk about rights anymore. Remember like 10, 20 years ago, everyone would say, "Oh, I want gay rights," or "I want, black, rights for blacks," or "I want rights for women." No one talks about the word rights anymore. I think it's interesting that, he had 3 videos on the topic, and there's like really no explanation or thought of anything in them. It's just him making declarative statements.
Yeah, mischaracterizing our positions.
And that's it.
Yeah.
So, I know he's against 20-minute videos where people actually have to like substantiate what they're saying, I guess. So
well, and he
okay.
he defaults back to the like, oh, it's not complicated. Well, it's
Right.
not complicated for you, Joel, because you're an idiot.
I am genuinely curious, and if Big Joel wants to come on our channel or make a 4th response video, I'm genuinely
After
curious.
I called him an idiot like 25 times.
I'm genuinely curious
I think
if
that
Big
bridge
Joel
is burned.
I'm genuinely curious if Big Joel either literally doesn't know anything about the ideology that he's supporting, or is this all just the Trojan horse method? I would think that most of his audience would not want to be called liberal.
No, but I think he's saying it as in like, well, yeah, I mean, I don't know what he's saying it, because he's seeming to say, this stuff is liberal, but that's good. But then
Right, but I don't think his audience doesn't like liberals.
No, but he seems to be engaging with liberal, like, the right. It seems like it's more of a criticism of rightoids thinking good things are liberal, like
right,
trans women or women or something. I don't know. It's weird. I don't. This is why at this point it probably would be worth having a conversation so you could hash it out and see what he actually thinks on a live conversation, because it doesn't really make any sense.
No hate here, Joel. No hate at all. Like, if you want to come on, we'll be nice as can be. You came on before we had a nice conversation, so obviously we're entertaining an audience. You're entertaining an audience. That's why you're going over the top here.
Mm-hmm.
When they said that you look like an unwashed retard, they didn't mean that. They were just messing around. Okay, we'll take that back.
Well, that part was true, but
oh my God.
Hi, you just listened to a clip from the Sitch and Adams show. If you like what you heard, you can listen to our live show right here on this channel on Sunday, starting at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. And if you want, you can super chat us. We read $20 and up super chats on the show and then do a follow-up stream on the following Tuesday where we read the rest of the unread super chats and interact with fans of the show. Subscribe to this channel right here to listen to the live show or to listen to more of our awesome clips.